Dana, and this is my program on Releasing for a Better Life. I just wanted to talk for a few minutes to you about something I've noticed, especially in talking to people about not just manifesting, but creating a better life for themselves. And my program is all about creating a better life for yourself. And it's an easy, there's nothing to buy. I can tell you how to do it right now. There's a video I put out a long time ago about how to do it. And and I'll explain to you right now how simple it is. It really is taking whatever is going on in your life and imagining putting it into a ball in front of you and releasing it. That's really all it is. It's a little bit of a meditation, but it doesn't have to be like the meditation where you go deep. It's more just imagining whatever is going on, every piece of it, good and bad, and just taking a moment and just throwing that into this ball or balloon, this thing in front of you. You just imagine piling it all in there. It doesn't matter. It could be two things, it could be 200 things. You just keep releasing every piece of it into this ball and you let it go, and you literally let it go. I mean, you could use it for whatever you want. If you're trying to get a new job or a new car, you put it in there and you're essentially letting God know what you want. You're throwing it up there, you're letting the universe know wherever you need that to go. You release it. I always release it to God because I was raised that way and I'm pretty comfortable, but not everybody is. If you need to release it to the universe, if you really need to release it to whoever, whatever is, your spiritual side, you release it and let it go, and you will get information back. What you shouldn't have back will be taken away, and you've got to be okay with that. And things you need to get information on will come back to you. That's the exciting part. You will continue to get fed information on ways you can grow and change and things you need to do. It's amazing. It really is, and that's all there is to it. And so this is kind of a journal, and it's a video journal that I do because I do this all the time. I've done it for school, I do it for work, I do it for manifesting, I do it for my relationships, I do it for everything. And I'll tell you what, for someone with chronic anxiety, it has been a lifesaver. It changed me. It has made me a different person. So what I want to talk to you about today is one thing I've noticed, especially on talking to people about this or about changing their lives, or something I noticed even within myself that I did that naturally caused my own anxiety. And I didn't realize it until I started actually doing this and started really processing what was coming to me. And one thing I realized is that we always return back to the things in our life that make us sad or stress us out or make us angry. It seems to be natural. For instance, you'll go on vacation and have a great time, and instead of coming back from that vacation and just living in that moment of excitement and what a great time you had and how thankful and grateful you are to have had this fantastic vacation, you get out and you're like, I gotta go back to work. I'm dreading this. I feel so depressed. Oh my God, I gotta go back to work. And that's natural, but it also is counterproductive from living your best life. If you loved vacation and it was fantastic and you want more like that, then you need to relish in that moment and that feeling. You need to take that feeling and embody it and love it and feel great. And then every time that dreadful feeling of having to go back to work, instead of going, oh, I don't want to go back to work, and getting into this depressed, anxious mode of going back to work, just say, you know what? I'm going to relish in this moment of what this vacation was, and I'm going to do it so that I know more are coming towards me. That more vacations are happening, more of this stuff will happen, and it will. It will come and it will happen. It will. And I can tell you, there's a person I know who lived with stress his whole life. Everything was stressful, and he just could never finish the mark. And I finally, we talked about it, and I said, sometime you're just going to have to let go of those other stresses and just focus on the times you felt good about what you're doing. It's just what you're going, this person is working towards a big goal, and sometimes they hit marks on that goal, and instead of relishing in that milestone or mark in the goal, they spend more time being upset that they didn't complete the goal. That these milestones, even though these little milestones were amazing and you feel great, he felt fantastic, he instead just stopped at that. because every time it didn't meet that, he would more relish in that, to the point where when he was working towards that goal, whenever he's working towards that goal, he gets depressed and anxious because of the thought of losing or not meeting that goal. So I continue to talk to him about releasing and just living in the moment where, those little milestones that are met and how great he feels with those little milestones, and just let those be the heart, let that be where he sits. And he did this time. And I remember telling him, I said, you got to let go of everything else and just live in those milestones. Live in those times where you feel fantastic about what you're doing. Live in those and don't worry about the rest. Let everything else go. And he did, and he actually passed a huge milestone, really big, and was super excited about it. He called me and he said, you're right, I did it. I made such leaps and bounds by living in this other side than living in this, living in the side of those great moments than living in the bad side. I had another friend that I talked to that was always kind of complaining about her marriage. Her husband was just terrible. And I said, is he terrible all the time? And she said, no, we actually have some really fun, great times too. We have some great times. But, when he does these other things, it just pisses me off. And I said, why don't you, when he's doing those other times, just remember those great times? Because, I said, are the bad times bad enough to leave him? And they're not bad enough to leave him. They're just, the typical relationship things, like maybe he leaves the laundry out, or maybe he doesn't clean up the kitchen, or maybe he just forgot to give her a kiss. Little things that add up to her. And she was constantly trying to change him, trying to, these little things kept adding up, and she kept trying to change these little things, even though they were never enough to cause her to want to leave the marriage, and they were never enough to cause her to hate him. They were just enough to make her unhappy. But the good times were so fantastic. So I said, why don't you just keep, every time he does those bad things, put yourself in that feeling of what those good times feel like when you're with him, when he's doing those great things. And just react to him every time like you do when those great things are happening, and see what he does, see what he becomes. And I remember it had been a month or so after we had talked about this, and she called me and she said, oh my gosh, you won't believe it. I've been treating him every time. I've been putting myself into those great feelings I have when we're having a great time. And I let the times he's kind of pissing me off or not doing exactly what I want go. And because nothing's horrible. And she said, you know what? Those times are disappearing and the fun times are staying. We are no longer having all these bad times. It seems like he is naturally just switching to the good times. It's like the energy of the good times oversee the bad times. And, and it's a funny thing, because here she thought she needed to change him, when actually she needed to change herself. She was living in this frustration and anger at him instead of living in, just making sure she stays in the reasons why she's married to him in the first place, the love she has for him. And so, I know this works. And when I saw it in her, I thought, oh my gosh, this can work for anybody. Literally, this is how you do it. And I started to consciously incorporate it more into my life. I even incorporate it more into my marriage. I had been trying anyway, but now I make sure that it is a conscious effort. And, my husband and I talked about our relationships with our kids. And we said, what, this is going to be something conscious we're going to do with our kids. We're going to try and listen to them and engage with them and remember how much fun we have with them, even when they're doing things that are really hard to deal with. We always have to stop and remember, what, but the good times we have with them way oversee the bad times, way oversee these times that are frustrating. And that's what's important. And when you live in that moment with everything takes that shift. All right. So anyway, if you have any questions or concerns, or you want to just let me know what's going on, please feel free to contact me. Just leave me a message here and I will get back to you. Thanks a lot for listening. Bye-bye.